Some of the ancients were said to translate into the other dimensions, body and soul. They just disappeared from this level of life and found themselves at another level of life. So I begin to wonder whether the new man would choose this kind of disappearance from this level of life into the real universes.
Okay, so what we've seen so far here and what we've read and heard about in history, again, many of these individuals like Ribazar and all of them, and many others like them, Polynius and Red Stories, etc. Yes, their lifestyle was different in those days. And Paul used these ideas in his writings to, show people that there's more than just here. And yes, many of these individuals had those abilities, but it's really not in the physical phenomena sense that this reality is. These are things that, like a person being a carpenter or a mechanic or a painter or whatever, businessman, bookkeeper, what have you. These are certain talents and abilities that each person acquires. But overall, this is the phenomena that is seen in creation, okay, because it's an isness. And it's simply a recognition, and one does not need to do any of that. You do not need to levitate or, like they do in some of the other countries of the world where this is all they do all day long. This is where much of this phenomena is looked upon, just like the so-called miracles of Jesus. This is where everybody's looking for miracles to take place. In other words, everybody's basically destroying the earth, purposely or unconsciously, whatever, and expecting their gods and their saviors to come back and fix it all. Well, it's not going to happen because everything is cause and effect, and each individual decides their life, so no one can save anybody. And so when we have these ideas to where you can make the body disappear and all that, again, this is what people, look to. There's many people that are magicians here, and they do their tricks, but it has nothing to do with the true reality the isness life is. It has nothing to do with it. And yeah, that would be fun to do that, to just disappear and go, but that's not the idea. I'm sticking it out because I want to do as much as I can while I'm here. That's my adventure. This is the real adventure of life. The real adventure of life is just like a marriage, a romance, which I've said many times. It's a love affair. And would you, just because you could have some opportunity, if you had like a real relationship here with the family, etc., would you just up and leave them because you could go on some trip around the world with your buddies? Would you do that? And so that's what it's like. So no, I won't be doing that. It sounds fun. You can fantasize it, but realistically, I'm doing this, and we'll see what happens from all of it. We'll see how long I am here, but I have no desire to go anywhere. None. It's all here and now. It's an isness. And every moment, every day, this is what I do. I don't see any of that for myself. And again, these are things that, and they're fun stories. And we like to read about these things. And as we're here, we have experiences. And each person can have any experience they want. But this is where most people do not see the true reality life is. And that is that life is about becoming more aware. And it only makes sense that you stand real and do your part, because this is how you earn your way. This is really earning your way, and this is where you stand real. See it from how the is sees everything, not from your personal self. Learn to give that up altogether and see it how the whole of life sees itself. Real survival is about becoming more aware. Not going someplace, not fleeing off and hiding, not even chasing the idea of freedom or real freedom, but simply standing real and facing up to everything so that everyone has real survival. Everyone can see the true reality life is. You see, that's the big adventure, and there's a lot of individuals, untold numbers in creation that are looking for this reality, and they really do need someone to present it because, again, if I wouldn't have done this, if I wouldn't have decided, who else is doing it? You can listen to the galactic people, you can listen to the inventors, the spiritual people, the religions, the politics. Where's it all going? It all goes nowhere. It all sounds good, whatever, the space people, this or that. It doesn't go anywhere. It's all astral and physical, and it's all trapped in the matrix. And people saying that, oh, I'm beyond the matrix and all that. Well, that's fine. You can say whatever you want. You go to the real side and see it. Life will show them. The boys know this nonsense. And so, again, it's the adventure too, and it is a love affair. It is a true love affair with the true reality life is. Again, see it from the isness side of it. I don't see any disappearance, but these are simply what has taken place is phenomena that has occurred, and it's all fine. Paul wrote about Apollonius as an example where they tried to put him in chains, and he just disappeared, okay? And many individuals have been able to do this. Well, whether you disappear or not, it's all about your real awareness. So you can learn to do these tricks and or not get yourself in trouble, okay? Just pay the ticket, the speeding ticket, and then they won't lock you up. So there's different ways to do it, but this is phenomena in creation, and people, overly and obsessively become involved in some type of control, and many times it leads to that, etc. It's just doing tricks, and we see it in the movies with the superheroes and that. It's fun to watch these movies, but realistically, it's just a bunch of tricks, and it has nothing to do with your real awareness. It's so much better. There's no encumbrances. There's no restrictions. All these tricks or all this phenomena that takes place here, they are part of the restrictions also. It's just how you see it. So again, learn to see it how the is sees it. And you don't need any of the phenomena because your real awareness will take over everything to where, hey, you have no restrictions at all with anything, but you can still be here and now and do what you do. That's the best part. You stand real with all of life. Yes. Go ahead, Charles.
Okay, Duane. That was very clear. Okay. There is something that bothers me. In order to know about the light, you have to compare it with darkness. The light only becomes apparent against the backdrop of darkness. And so I would be constantly making references to what is past and gone, or to the past. I find that an instance of literalism is the religious injunction. Love your neighbor as yourself. And this begs the question, which self are they asking people to love as themselves? Well, I feel that a misunderstanding of what or who to love has thrown the world into chaos instead. People feel different from others socially, politically, religiously, economically, while some feel more endowed, privileged, more educated, more intelligent, and hardworking, and more resourceful than their fellows. I want to think that people come into an awareness of loving their neighbor as themselves through the expansion of awareness, which is voluntary and is a choice. rather than through an injunction, like love your neighbor as yourself. So what does the Newman think about the religious commandment to love your neighbor as yourself?
Is that what it is? Is it a religious commandment?
Yeah, one of the Moses' commandment to love your neighbor. Yes, to love your neighbor as yourself.
Okay, I forget all the 10 commandments, but that's one of them, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a toughie. Isn't it? It's tough.
Yes, it's tough because of all these differences people feel that people have, all these attitudes people have about themselves. Oh, I'm a very rich person doesn't feel like mingling with the poor and downtrodden or the scums of the earth. Someone has very good intelligence and he thinks he looks at others who are less intelligent as not fit to commune with. Others think they are more hardworking, so their hard work puts them in a special category. So this injunction of loving your neighbor as yourself, it's really hanging in the air. And from the outset, I begin to ask, this yourself, which self are they talking about? So it's breeding a lot of confusion, because I find it is somehow impractical. People cannot bring themselves to practice this, but it is touted as one of the very one of the foundations of some of the popular religions out there. So I don't know what you have to say about this.
Well, again, it's promoting an idea, isn't it? And really, just like you said, it takes effort to do that. You want to get up every day and just all of a sudden decide to love your neighbors. You can do whatever you want. Everything is fine. I'll say it so many times. I like this as to where you can do whatever you want. I don't do that. Okay. Not at all. I care about those people that I'm with, and that what we're doing on this adventure, that's where I put my focus. Okay. And they in turn make their choices. And so again, you might say we see eye to eye, and that is that we're doing what we can. But when it comes to loving thy neighbor, no, realistically, I don't make that effort, because again, in a subtle way, that's control too. And you see it, especially with the religious people. They're so happy and sweet, and they're just trying to, many times, they're so glad to meet you, and how are you, and, would you like to, join our meeting, and all these things. They're kind of corralling you into these ideas to so-called feel good or whatever. And it's really into a passiveness where you're just thinking that, these are such nice people. And I'm not saying they're not. That's not the idea. It's not about niceness. I don't look for that. I don't look for friends. I don't look for niceness or whatever. These are ideas that people like to live with, the love idea. Let's just love everybody. I think we went through the hippie days in the 70s, okay? The love childs and all that, and which is fine. Hey, go do it. Have fun. Me, I get up. I check out what's on the computer. I'm usually with Ava. We're, looking at what we're doing. And realistically, I don't observe any of that love thy neighbor stuff. I just let everybody be whatever they want to be. It's like, it's none of my concern what they do. And it's not about love. again, the love idea is basically control. It's emotional ideas, and really, love thy neighbor as thyself. Again, I would say that it's referring to the personal self. And that's fine also, if that's what you want to do. It's all the personal self, so everybody stays unaware of their real awareness. They just all feel good about loving each other in the emotional sense and create more bonding and tap lines, which is automatic. They plug into each other if that's what they want to do. But I see it as, again, like the stars in the so-called heavens, and that is that each individual is uniquely themselves with the whole of life. That's how I see it. So that's how I live here, and relate to it in that way. In other words, it's kind of an indifference. In other words, whatever the next individual thinks about themselves or the world or myself or whatever, hey, fine, have fun with it. That's your idea of things. And if there is something there that's relatable, if it's if it's a personal friendship, I'll decide that. And if it's a business deal, I'll decide that too. If I want to be part of it, or if I want them to be part of what I'm doing, I'll decide that too. I have the right to decide. So it's not that I have to do anything. It's not that I even have to like people. Okay, it's not about liking. Okay, it's not about dislike. It's not like on Facebook, the idea is you're to like or whatever. It's not about that. It's actually more than that. So again, ask the sun when you go outside. Ask the sun, do you like me? Do you love me? Okay, etc. Ask the sun and see what reply you get. Again, can you recognize what the sun is demonstrating? And in the beginning here, you talked about the light and all that a little bit. And this is very interesting. The light and the sound comes from a true and real isness that is invisible to even that. And so again, to recognize what that true isness is, because the light and sound reflect that, and eventually becomes so in the created sense. So it's looking at the so-called layers of what has taken place. And so is it so that even the light is what it is? Yes, it is. But at the same time, people have experiences with the sound light reality, but are they really recognizing what it is and what is more so with that? So again, so we come down, we'll just use the word up and down. We've come down to the bottom, which is basically ideas that people relate to, and not a true aliveness that life is. It is to recognize this true aliveness, or you don't. It's not something you have to do. With what I'm presenting, there are no commandments. There are no this and that's. Again, I'm just sharing my experiences and creating references so that people can better understand. But there's no regulations. And so these things, and even Paul referred to the 10 Commandments by Moses, again, they're commandments. You are commanded to do these things, okay? So if you want to, fine, go ahead. And so most of the unaware masses have agreed that, this is what we must do. Okay, we must do this. We are our brother's keeper. We must love others. We must forgive them, etc. Well, I don't see it as necessarily that you even have to apologize for certain things, and that is that sometimes you do, but realistically, sometimes you just let it be. And you don't have to go into the forgiveness act or ask God or even the real guides for forgiveness. They're not concerned. What's so cool about the isness is that, okay, so you did something funny. I do funny things sometimes too. I get a little discouraged or whatever. I don't ask for forgiveness. I just see that the isness is what it is, like the sun shining. And as I give up the concern, there becomes no concern. You see? So life isn't concerned. Life isn't looking for forgiveness. And so what we've got here is got a lot of marketing ploy where people think that, God needs money because the church says so. And God needs to be worshiped and prayed to because the church says so. Again, all marketing ploy. And look at the sun. Does it need worship? Does it need money? Does it need buildings and temples and all these things to ruin the environment? No. This is what's so cool about the isness, when you really recognize it for what it is. And eventually, all these little attitudes that really mean nothing except they're just restrictions that you consider, well, you can just simply be free of them and learn to recognize what is real. So as you go through the process of creation and drop these bodies, eventually there's your real awareness. You recognize it. Yes, it's so cool. So these ideas here, these are old restrictions. They're old burdens that people keep marketing to others. That's all they are. And if they want them, hey, you can have them. Have fun with them. Be a Christian, be a Muslim, have your rules and regulations, have your Bibles. Hey, everybody can have whatever they want. If that's what you want, have fun with it. But it has nothing to do with the isness life is, because it's pure, real, and there are no encumbrances. It's so cool to recognize it. Yes, thank you for asking, Charles.